Stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Mr. Akiri? Mr. Bova? Mr. Brodsky?
Here.
Mr. Core?
Yes.
Mr. Coyne?
Here.
Mr. D'Elia?
Here.
Mr. Ford?
Here.
Mr. Kane? Mr. Karam?
Here.
Mr. Matolo? Ms. Sesney? Here. Mr. Wallace?
Thank you. You have the draft October 22, 2018 minutes in your packet. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Thank you. A second. Second. Any discussion, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Next is the resolution to amend the industrial rate schedule.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for the confusion, and even I'm hearing just now. Just to kind of summarize very quickly, as you know, we've been working with Mohawk Valley Edge to try to have additional incentives for our economic development partners that they can offer to prospective industrial clients that are looking at the Nano Center site or even other sites. Only if they're very, very large users, we want our rates to be competitive with other sites around the world that they're looking at. We talked about this a year ago, and then we discussed it again this past July before bringing it back to the board to actually enact it last month. And Steve Tamio at Edge, ever the spreadsheet and table maker, brought us this back in July. Jim Corfanta and I had gone through it very carefully. This is what was discussed with the board in July with revenue targets. Essentially, it shows at various usage levels how much revenue we get, and all of that was discussed. None of that information was affected by what happened after that, but the industrial rate schedule, as we proposed it, was two-tiered. The first tier was one price, the second tier was a little bit of a lower price. The confusion came because what Edge presents to these prospective clients is the cost per 1,000 gallons. We measure in cubic feet. So what we present is a schedule that has a price in cubic feet. There's a conversion factor of 7.481, et cetera. And so it wasn't obvious to us that what had happened was Steve, in presenting this information to a client, said, okay, here's what you can expect to pay. There's tier 1, there's tier 2, and if you run a certain volume through both those tiers, you end up with a blended rate, which is an average of the two tiers. And when we created it, by accident, we grabbed the number for the blended rate. So when you plug that in, it raised the total cost. And then when I sent it over to Steve and he went back through it, we realized we had made a mistake and grabbed the wrong number that we then converted to cubic feet. So summary is that the price for tier 2 that we actually approved, unfortunately the way it was presented in the public document, listed a price of $18.12 per 1,000 cubic feet. The real number should have been $15.34 per 1,000 cubic feet. But based on those calculations with the corrected number, all the revenue numbers that we talked about are the numbers that in fact everybody had agreed to with the same discount. So essentially it was a clerical error in how we presented it, and we just need to republish it so that Steve can go back and tell any clients that he's working with that these are the corrected numbers. So,
Any questions for Pat on this? Someone move the resolution, which is in our packet. Vince, thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Next is a resolution establishing the Water Authority as lead agency pursuant to SECRA relative to the Snowden Hill Road water storage tank.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for handling that. We have, the next two resolutions actually are related to the closing out of the State Environmental Quality Review Act process for the 1.2 million gallon tank proposed up in New Hartford on Snowden Hill Road. If you recall, probably maybe you don't, back in June, the board voted to issue part 1 of the environmental assessment form out to the involved and interested agencies, DEC, Department of Health, the Town of New Hartford. They have 30 days to give us comments or clearance or other information on the review. We did get clearances from both of those involved agencies, and we are good and clear to finish up the approval process. 2 steps. The first resolution under agenda item number 5 is basically the board establishes itself as lead agency. Once you do that, then the next resolution, you adopt basically a negative declaration that the project information impacts have been looked at, and you can issue a negative declaration. From here, it goes back to the involved and interested agencies for their notification. They don't have any more approval process, and other than permits, and is posted in the environmental news bulletin. The resolutions, all the attached environmental assessment forms, the follow-on documents, all prepared by Hancock and Estabrook and us and/or O'Brien and Gear Engineers and the Water Authority. So we are clean and good to go, and after this, we can advance into survey, design, final land acquisition. All that's going to be going on over the winter.
I'd like to make a motion to approve that.
So agenda item number 5 up first, Dave.
Yep.
Secret negative declaration. Give me a second on it.
Yes, please. Thank you. Any further discussion? This is the first one, Jim.
First one.
Lead agencies.
Any comments, concerns, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. And then agenda item number 6, resolution, which is the negative declaration part.
Sure.
Which is a good thing, by the way. Someone care to move this? Dave, thank you. Thank you. Did you get this?
No, I do not.
Dave moved it, and Racco.
Okay.
Any further comments or concerns regarding this resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
I may just like to make one quick comment on compliment Dick and his people and the whole staff on all the extra work they've been doing on this to pull this together, so.
Great. When are we looking to build that?
Next year.
I know people in the north will be very happy with
There are many people in my neighborhood will be very happy.
that. All the neighborhoods up above there, yeah.
Yes.
Committee reports, Dick, is there anything you want to point out in the capital projects? Dick does have a report in your packet.
There are minutes from the capital meeting that was held last Wednesday. In addition to these resolutions, we took the first look at the one-year project list, and that'll be available for the full board at the December meeting for the capital improvement program.
Great.
And the 5-year and the long-range programs as well.
Any questions for Dick? Thanks. Finance, Jim?
Everything's looking good as we head into the final months of the year. Consumption is up and up 2.5% compared to last year, so we're good there. We're above budget with water sales and cash flows looking good.
Any questions for Jim? Thanks, Jim. Pat?
Okay, first item I have is dealing with our software platform that we run internally. Some of you that have been on the board longer might recall that we've had some discussion in the past about either selling certain modules of our system or allowing outside agencies to use it for a fee. And more recently, I've had some conversation at conferences that I go to where I've interacted with a couple of other water systems that A, need a work order system and work management system, B, know that we have our own, and they're comparing it to outside software vendors and prices and stuff. And so right now we have 3 agencies that are potentially interested in becoming users of our system. In theory, what we could do is load their accounts into our system in a segregated area where we wouldn't see their information, they wouldn't see ours. They would come in the morning and simply log in to their system. It would be our system, but it would be like it's running right in their building. And they would use it to manage their workflow, create work orders, things of that nature. But to do that, we would need a couple things in place. One would be an intermunicipal shared services agreement, which I would then talk with our attorney about drafting. We'd also have to set up some pricing information. So If the board has no objection in pursuing this, it could turn into a little bit of a revenue stream for us, is we had some outside users. We have cloud backup, we have literally infinite server space for something of this nature. We would also check with our insurance carriers to make sure that if we needed any kind of insurance rider for protections, that we'd have that covered as well. But what I would like to do, if the board is agreeable to pursuing something like this, is to have a finance committee meeting to discuss pricing, talk with individual board members that have had some experience in dealing with this, and then bring something to the board where we could, in theory, at least offer some sort of a pricing mechanism for other agencies that might be interested in doing this. And again, this is something we talked about over the years, and now there's been some renewed interest in it. And so if there's any concerns about it, we'd like to know that. If it's something people are interested in pursuing, then we'll try to put together some framework that would come back to the board, obviously, for a final approval. Yes, Dave?
Yeah, just a quick question, relative to the security and the firewall, how it would be.
Yeah, all of that would be done through, well, we have IBM as consultants that did our vulnerability assessment work. Certainly they would be involved in it. We also have our backup and disaster recovery firm, TriDelta, that's running their cloud service down in Canandaigua. All of those people would have to be involved in setting up a secure portal that would be deemed by IBM acceptable with their recommendations. So we'd have to work through all that. But the bottom line is that the software I'm talking about is stuff that we own. We own the source code. We've developed it ourselves. So it's not like we're running into some kind of license agreement with some outside vendor. Bruce, looked like I wanted to ask something.
Yeah, Mike, I was going to ask a similar question, and I would prefer it to be a segregated system. There's no reason for it to be on our server or our...
Well, it probably would be. I say that just for descriptive purposes, but it would be residing probably at TriDelta in Canandaigua in a separate area of their service.
Not
They pay
just-
for the service space.
Right, but it's when they log in, they're not logging, they don't have an opportunity to log into any other
Right.
customer, including ourselves. It would be a separately segregated server or
Well,
cloud
you're talking about
system.
separating the program from the data.
Separating,
So that the
Access.
program can run
Yeah.
on a server, whereas the data for each individual client is put in Amazon Web Services or Azure or wherever they store it up in the cloud.
separate from, just as long as you can't log in and break through a firewall.
Right.
It has to be
Right.
completely
It would be totally
segregated.
segregated, yeah, no question about it.
Well, this is very preliminary,
Yeah.
so I think it'd be great to take a look at this, who knows?
Oh, I agree.
If it works, if it doesn't work, when they come back to the board, we'll take a look at it and we'll see what's up.
Okay, so we'll reach
Unless
out.
there's any strong objections about looking into those.
No, I do not.
Okay,
Revenue.
so
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Always nice.
then we'll get working on it, and I'll speak with our attorney about what we need legally to direct up for agreements.
Mark's not on finance, right? But it'd be good if you were there,
Yeah, I just talked to him before the meeting.
since, your background is...
That's what he does, yeah. So, yeah, and then we'll get moving, and then we'll ask for the finance committee to meet when we can get a date set. Okay, well, thank you, appreciate that. Second item I wanted to
You want to do it
mention.
before
I'm sorry.
the end of the year or after?
I know one of the agencies is trying to do this on fairly expeditiously. If there's time to do it before the end of the year, that'd be helpful. So,
We could maybe just coordinate
perhaps
in
in the
one
next 2 weeks.
calendar and see if we can.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, if we can get together even before the next board meeting, that might be helpful.
Okay.
Okay. Also, we had a meeting with the city of Utica. They are undertaking to try to improve their rating with ISO, which is the Insurance Services Office. They give ratings for fire protection for communities. The city is undertaking, which I think is a very great initiative, to try to improve their rating, and that would potentially allow private insurers to offer better pricing for homeowners insurance and things like that. So a component of that is information about hydrants and fire flow data and all that stuff. So we had a very good meeting with the city to see if there's a way we can cooperate to help them boost their rating. Dick and his staff brought some great information to the table, and he's going to have some follow-up meetings with you, the fire department. But I've pledged to them that we'll do everything that we reasonably can do to provide that information and help them through that process. So with a little luck, they'll have some success, and we'll be able to help them get there. So I just thought I'd mention that. That's all I have for now, unless there's any questions or anything else going on.
Any questions for Pat?
There was one other item. There was a nice article this Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
With the high water quality.
Yeah. Yeah, that came about. Phil Tankor, our water quality director, had gotten a phone call from the Observer Dispatch. They wanted to write a large article. He was here about a month ago, right? Maybe
Yeah.
longer than that?
That was a month or so.
About a month.
He didn't have a beard.
Yeah.
In disguise.
Phil and I both sat down.
That was in disguise. Thought it was gonna be the other way, didn't you?
City of Rome got a good write-up too. And what's interesting, if you look on the OD's website, there were two big blue boxes. One that had our name on it, one had City of Rome, and if you click it, it flips around to a map. And on ours, it had a nice circle of our service area, and it went up into Trenton and over to New Hartford. On the Rome one, the circle was a little bigger. It went all the way to Watertown. And all the way across Orlando Lake into Onondaga County. And I thought, well, I wonder how many people, that saw that think that the City of Rome was providing water to Watertown. Somewhere in Onondaga County.
Got a really good point.
Yeah, I guess they must. But, so I was gonna call a reporter, just let them know, they probably wanna shrink that circle just a little bit. At any rate, it was a pretty good article, I think it was factually pretty fair, you think so?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks for.
Anything else for Pat? Thanks, Pat. You want to do the introductions for the
Yes,
update?
so at the last board meeting, everybody had an interest in wanting to know how things went with our first year of contracting the operation of our water treatment plant. As you know, we hired Suez North America through a competitive process. They gave us the best proposal, and we had a lot of confidence in their ability. They've been here now over a year. It was a year in August, I guess, right? So at your request, we've invited both John Arnott, who is our plant manager, project manager, that Suez has assigned to run our plant. Mike Burke operates on a more regional level for Suez, and has graciously come up from Massachusetts to be here tonight. And I'd like to introduce both these fellows and invite them to walk us through their experience. Not working?
That's coming forward.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for having us back too. It's a pleasure to be here, be able to report with the positive status of what's going on at the plant. John's here every day, so I'm gonna let him go through the slide and explain it, and I'll assist. I'm passing it on to myself.
All right, so just over a year. It's been a great year, I think. Working with Phil almost every day on this, that, the other thing, seeing all you guys. So we'll start off with a fun award that we got at a local AWWA event. Actually, hell with that, Top Ops Awards. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it was a joint venture between a couple of operators from the plant and one of the guys from engineering. So they won the local competition. That gets them into the New York, which is in Saratoga next year. If they win that, let's go to Vegas. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
Nice little show of knowledge in the area. We also had Suez. Our company had an inaugural engineering award. Overall category, we actually won for process improvements, cost reduction, sustainability. So all like the little things we've kept, been working on, everything we're looking forward to getting into in the future. The company actually acknowledged how good a job we've been doing. So that's pretty cool. It's the first one in the company, and
Yeah.
there are 3 awards, and we took one of them.
And that's company-wide, international. right?
Company-wide.
That's great.
International, out of 35,000 employees.
Wow.
Yeah, to recognize all the work that is being done here at the Mohawk Valley.
So I really appreciate the first year of work with that. Yeah, it's awesome.
Very good, congratulations.
And then just some basic stuff we've done over the year. Just shy of 7 billion gallons of water we processed. We have a chunk buster, which I'll get into in my next slide. That was actually built in-house, designed in-house, implemented in-house. We had a similar one that was proposed to us for almost $50,000 just to purchase, not to install, not to set anything up. We built it for about $2,600. It actually helps our system dramatically. It saves us call-outs at night. It saves us process issues during the day. Frank Bray was the lead guy on that, our senior mechanic, and he ran with it, and it's working amazingly. So I really want to touch on that. We have a beneficial use permit where it's, that we're working with the DEC on. That's to remove the sludge lagoon. collection of lagoons. And previously was getting taken to a landfill, so we're trying to set up a way locally where working with material sanding gravel companies to see if they'll take it and implement it in their topsoil and their kind of usage. That way it's a joint savings for everybody. This past summer, we implemented the regenerated activated carbon. That's our filters. Just from testing, working with Phil and everyone in the past, this is something we were able to actually push forward and start this year. Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, but all the numbers look pretty similar to what the...
Very, very similar as the other product, yeah.
Yes, it's to any kind of new activated carbon versus the reactivated. So we're able to take what we use, send it back to whichever company we're working with, they reactivate it, and then bring it back to us. So we always have a cycle. If they have some, then we'll have some. And it's a good way to, again, cost savings, looks really good, and it works extremely well.
Does that carbon tie into the lagoon sludge that you referred to? I mean, does that filter?
In the sense of, no, it's, since it works almost as well as, as virgin activated carbon, it's really the backwash cycle, and so it's really capturing the same amount, it's cleaning the same amount, so we're not seeing any change that way.
We did see a big change in price.
About $350,000.
Yeah.
A year, yeah.
The virgin carbon was running us over $900,000 a year. The regenerated carbon was $650 roughly?
Ish.
Yeah. So major savings from that change.
And then other little things that we've done, which was also acknowledged in our engineering award, we cut down on the water needed for clarifier washes, and we're still working on the back washes. Just another way of having upfront savings, making sure the processes are working as well as they can be. The last little note is EHS, it's our environmental health and safety. Internally, we have our own training, and so we've had over 160 modules completed, just of different areas around anything from how to climb a ladder properly to working with specific chemicals, just so that everyone's on the same page, everyone knows how to use something, everyone knows what to do. This is the chunk buster. So the first picture on the left, that's the actual unit taken out. The picture in the middle, you can see the little red area, that is the unit installed, and we're actually able to combine it on the active gear system, and this is our soda ash silo, so it doesn't need its own power source. We're actually stealing off the existing gears that are in there, so we don't have to power it at all. It operates on its own. Then the last one, it's actually showing the yellow area, that's how we're guarding all the gears, so that way when you walk in there, they're nice and safe, you're not going to get caught on anything.
Is it patented
We have not patented yet. To be determined on that. But this was simply just an amazing thing that we were able to set up in our first year. A couple of little things. First one on the left again. This is one of our chemical delivery systems. This little guy is a homemade little horse that we have. That pretty much makes sure that all the chemical lines aren't straining too much on the inputs, on the tanks. We're coming off of the actual tankers themselves. Just a little safety thing. The next one, scaffolding. We actually train the entire staff on how to be competent scaffold erectors and be able to use them. So in the plant, we have a lot of, as you can see, high lights. Typical ladders aren't safe for us to get up to those heights, so now we have scaffolding. So we can do a lot more things in-house than having to try and get someone from outside vendors. Next one's a looks like a sandblaster. Yeah. Just another thing that we have that's helping us to clean and maintain items. So if we're taking pumps apart, we're able to clean them, get them back together faster than hand cleaning everything. And the last area is a welding area. So we taught a couple of the guys to get certified in welding, which again is helping more process stuff around. And it's a nice little trade for all the guys to have. Fun little picture from our first day last year. Future. So we're looking at chlorine gas. As you probably all know, we have liquid. We have 1-ton cylinders. So we're trying to get into liquid. We have gas. The next is corrosion inhibitors. That's affect a couple of areas. It really depends on how the lead and copper rules come out, which way we're going to go. But it is something that we're actively looking into. 2 operator trainees will be certified. Actually, one of them was certified 2 weeks ago. We're very proud, Jeremy Ward. He was actually a trainee we brought on a month into the project,
Contract,
and he just got licensed as a 2A, which is great. Our other new trainee, Jim Sherwood, started 3 months
yeah.
ago.
3 months ago.
So he'll be certified by this time next year. Internally, we're also trying to work with some local colleges. We're really trying to push the whole water field. It's a big field, and not many people know about it, so we're seeing if we can work with some local colleges, community colleges, get the word out, see if they want to send people up for more tours, really talk with professors, get the kids to know more. And last, we're working on net metering with the turbines that we have both at the plant and the downstream facility. It's a long process, but it's something where it's again going to be some kind of cost savings due to the fact of how it's currently being billed versus how it could be billed and how it could be set up in their system. So internally, we're working with NIPA. We're trying to figure out the best way to get it set up with the turbines that we have without making any changes.
Yes, so if you're not familiar with that, we have turbines in the plant that produce power, electricity, as the water's flowing. We sell that electricity, there's one downstream. The way it's been is that we produce the power, we sell it, we get paid for it. They bill us for our electrical use completely separate. So they're looking at a way to take those processes and blend them together and make a more favorable economic equation.
So that's a long process just because of how old the turbines are. They typically like to see something new, even though it's something that's already set up in a sense. So that's how we go.
Are you looking a little bit at netting out another turbine?
Not that I'm aware of. So it's only those two turbines that
Down our floor
looking
pressure.
at. Yeah. And that's it. Just wanted to say, Dan, it's been a great year, and my staff and working with everyone here has been outstanding. Looking forward to some more years.
If anybody goes to hockey games and you watch that big board up there, you might have seen some commercials.
A couple Suez commercials up there now too.
I'll say from our end of it, it's been a great experience. I think Phil, Dick, everybody here has been very impressed. And,
Yeah, I think our intent going into this was to make sure that we had some expertise that was localized at the treatment plant, and, you know, I think we've achieved that, right, with this contract, and the ability, you know, John is, you know, more than qualified to lead up there, and the support staff that they provide has really, I think, helped, you know, broaden the treatment plant from a safety and compliance perspective, so far so good.
those of our employees that made the jump and are now SUEZ employees, I think across the board, feel very good about the change. I think they'll all tell you that their training, their knowledge base has been greatly expanded, more so than we could have done in-house ourselves, and certainly we would have had to bring a lot of consultants in to provide the level of attention that these guys have been doing. So there's a talented staff up there. There was a talented staff, but now they're even you know, better prepared and more knowledgeable than they were before. And you know, guys like Mike is a regular down here, and you know, anyone in the company really that needs to be here for any particular reason, they've all been extremely accessible to us. It's not a one-man show or a two-man show. We've really had the resources of the full company to come to bear whenever it's been necessary. And that includes people from New Jersey, from Connecticut, as well as others from Massachusetts. So I think we've been very pleased with their performance so far.
Great, thanks.
You had your, in your report, the next steps would be the tractor valve clarifier for CFE finished water. Can you tell me the status on that?
Take a peek.
What did I say?
Oh, the UV 254 stuff.
I'm sorry?
UV 254.
For the,
It was notes that Bob made for tracking and future.
oh, yeah, so we have the, you know, you can use a surrogate test, right, to kind of track your organics removal through individual trains in the treatment process. Is that, I don't have the report in front of me, but assuming that's what he was talking about, is that to kind of use the UV to kind of predict changes in the organics concentrations in the water. And then you, to kind of hone your treatment process based on those surrogate values as they come through.
How many values come through in a day?
Oh, my goodness. You know, based on the regulations, some reads come in continuously, some have to be documented every 15 minutes, every 4 hours, daily. You know, it's all, I mean, there are thousands of data points that come in, not only through the treatment plant, but through the whole SCADA network and the distribution as well.
How's the interpretation? Is that a machine learning program, algorithm, or is it just manual?
It's manual, so we have set points for everything that is an online sensor. So anything in the plant that we have sensors for, or even Phil has some distribution, it goes to our SCADA systems, and we have set points where whatever number is coming out for that different, whatever you're looking for, variable, it'll have a min, it'll have a max, and it'll have even lower min, higher maxes, and it'll call us and let us know, hey, this number's starting to get close, you might want to take a look and see what's happening.
So
otherwise, we also have hand tests. So Phil's saying, every morning we come in, we run tests in the morning, noon, afternoon, and we're verifying not only that SCADA's getting the same numbers, but we're also manually looking and saying, hey, we're getting this too.
So
But you
we
would say
we
predict.
don't have predictive changes, right, for dosages. We just have changes based on flow that are automated.
I'm just wondering, considering IBM's relationship that we have, if you should talk to them about an algorithm that could read the data and provide you a prediction. Because if you have that much data coming through, you've got a lot. There's a lot of training that the algorithm could learn in order to feedback the experience. So you might be able to read an experience and predict something happening based on the last week.
Right.
And it's just data, it's just an algorithm at that point. And they may be interested in it just because it might be something they could sell.
Yeah.
Because you have that much data, that's a great opportunity to do some predictive analytics.
No, we can talk about it.
That's exciting.
Anything else? Well, thanks, guys.
Thank
It was great. Any old business?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Very quickly, previously I let you know that the audit committee was going to review bids for appointing an auditor for the next 3 years, or a 3-year contract, and staff did an excellent outreach and received 4 bids for accounting services, CPA services. The audit committee reviewed the bids and took recommendations based on the experiences of the 4. We have decided last Wednesday at our meeting to reappoint BST, who has done our existing audit for the 3 years, for the next 3 years, 2018, 2019, and 2020. So that has occurred. The audit committee has contacted BST, and we're moving forward.
Great. And just to make sure everybody's clear on this, this audit committee has the authority to do exactly what they did.
Right, we like
I
spending.
mean, generally, the board approves these kinds of things, but under that law.
Under the charter of the audit committee passed by the board, the audit committee hires and oversees the auditor, the independent auditor.
Thanks, Bruce. Any questions regarding
One
that?
other thing, I just want to thank Jim and his staff. Did an excellent job. They did a nice review. They get a very complicated document back from each one of these auditors to go through, and I don't know what we would have done without the excellence that they provided. Great. So, thank you.
Any new business? Yes, Lenny?
Could we set the calendar for January, February tonight? Because they fall on holidays.
I don't have my calendar with me.
We should hang one
Can
of
you pull
these.
it on your phone? In the past, sometimes we move them to Tuesday. We don't always push it back a week when they get on a Tuesday.
I don't care what we do.
That's
I'm
January.
not sure which is the holiday.
It's February.
That
I
must
think
be the
it's
holiday
the,
right
it's
here.
the,
Martin
No,
Luther
it's
King.
Martin Luther King Day in January.
January 21st.
And I think President's
it's the
Weekend.
21st, right?
Yeah.
All right, so either we make it on Tuesday, the 22nd, or push it to the following Monday, it's the 28th.
What month are you in?
January.
Monday, January 21st is Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's look where we're looking at February, because we don't want them to get
Right.
too closer to
And then
February.
February's the
18th
18th.
is
18th.
President's Day.
which is the third, yeah.
So that would be,
So if you push it back, you've only got 1, 2, 3, you only have 3 weeks maybe
But I
in
think we
between.
don't do much better than that. Well, what would the February date be?
the 18th was a holiday,
So if we did it on Tuesday, it'd be the 19th.
So basically, keep
So
each
we
one
put
one
each
shift
one-
to it.
Well, we can set that date, I would miss that meeting,
Which one?
the one in February on the Tuesday after the holiday.
skiing.
I'll be just coming back from Florida.
Oh,
Daytona 500 weekend.
So,
Important stuff.
I agree.
well, if we did it Tuesday, the 22nd in January,
And
if
the
you did
26th.
1, 2, 3, 4, you'd be 5 weeks if you did it on the 25th in February. If you pushed it to the Monday in January on the 28th, then you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. You'd be 4 weeks going to the 25th in February, but then in March, so you're okay, but then March you'd be 3 weeks, so you'd have to catch up.
I don't think we escaped it.
It's gonna happen either before or after.
We do.
It's gonna happen either.
So what was the other February date, Sue?
So the 19th or the 25th.
Right, it's either a Tuesday or the following Monday.
Do we
Well,
need,
the
Is
Tuesday
anyone
would
gonna
work
be
for me.
away?
well, I guess I'm wondering, do we need both meetings? Can you make,
Well, we don't know, but, I mean, we always take a look at the agenda and see what we have.
kind
I
of
think
do it
last
like
year
right in the
one of them
middle?
we canceled.
Yeah, I think we did too.
Oh, you mean, let's just pick one in the
Yeah.
middle that
Yeah,
covers
get it in the
both
middle and
months?
kind of catch both months.
The 12th.
Oh, I don't have a problem doing that either. The March one would stay on its original date,
Right,
and we pick some kind of a middle date that covers both January and February in one swoop.
When do
We'll
you
save,
leave?
we'll save money, we won't have to get the board fees, right?
I'm leaving on Tuesday.
Monday the 11th? Monday the 11th?
or the 4th.
Monday,
February 11th.
yes, that would.
Purely the Tuesday the 12th.
That would be right in the middle, actually.
Kind of catch both.
Yeah,
Monday,
she'd have 6
February
weeks,
11th?
maybe 6 weeks.
All right, going once, going twice.
February 11th?
So we'll have one
It's a
meeting for
Monday.
those 2 months, and March meeting will be on our regular Monday.
Very good.
Right, right.
Anything else, any?
No, that's it, thank you.
Anybody? We're adjourned, thanks, everybody.
Good job, Rocco.
You're the man.